All right, you all. I told you I was going to keep these updates coming. So I am doing another check-in. It is March 7th, 1308, so it's 108. And yeah, I was going to wait and do this because I am going to get out of the house today. In just a little bit, I'm going to go to the thrift store because it's a safe space for me. I can turn my mind off. I can, do some shopping. And then eventually at some point I have to go to the grocery store today. And then I would probably meet up with a friend for an afternoon, like late afternoon walk around the block. I told you all, one of my colleagues lives in the neighborhood. And she and I have been, when we can, we've been walking around the block. So that's helping as well. But I sent a few videos to family and friends just basically saying that I got my passport. I got up this morning. Actually, it's so funny because I didn't realize it, but I received an email yesterday, I believe. So one of the things about this experience is I am literally learning. You all know I've lived abroad for quite some time, but I've never been in a situation like this. So I mentioned before that I've been trying to access my passport and, just no responses, phone numbers not working, all of that stuff. And my line manager actually suggested, well, why don't you reach out to your representative and, they can help you. And I've never, I'm like, who is my rep? I don't know who that is. And it was, okay, I'm always paying attention to sounds. It was suggested that I reach out to the folks in the States. So I spent one night just calling up the state rep, and then I was told to contact the congresswoman, and then I was told to contact Tammy Duckworth, her office, and I think honestly that's what got stuff going. So their offices weren't answering either, so I just ended up leaving a voice message, and the response to the voice message was someone saying, I've contacted the U.S. Embassy in Abu Dhabi and the consulate in Dubai, and I'll keep you posted as far as if I hear anything. And I had already done that, but like I said before, that the phones are automated, so I wasn't able to speak to anyone in person. So I get the email, and the senior director in Tammy Duckworth's office was like, I'll just keep you posted if I hear anything. And then from that, I received an email from the consulate basically saying, we're closed. Our people are sheltering at home. We'll keep you updated. We've just put you on the list for emergency services. And that was that. So what was it yesterday? And I'm saying that to say that I have never, living abroad, I've never thought to reach out to the folks that represent Illinois, who also represent, when I'm abroad. So I got an email yesterday basically saying that, there's some emergency services available at the consulate today. Your appointment is at this time, show up. So it was so interesting. And this is the part where I'm like, let me just get this out now, because once I leave the house and, experience what's going on out there, I may not have this on my mind and heart as clear as it is. But I woke up this morning and I'm getting dressed, and I'm just like, we'll see what happens. So because there's no parking around the consulate, I was like, I'll just take a Careem. So I took the Careem and I got there and I walked in, and it's amazing because it's armed. No pictures, no nothing. So basically I had to go to a window, and the email that I received is what I had to show as evidence for them to give me permission to enter the consulate. The consulate is closed. So I went inside, and it was very much like the airport, but highly surveillanced. So anything as far as technology, I had to hand it over. I could only take the files that I had, which was evidence that I have sent my passport for renewal, copy of the passport, all that stuff. So after going through that, metal detector, surveillance, all that stuff, I'm saying we because I had come in, another person had come in, and another family had come in. So we were escorted to another area. We go into the area, and it looks like the airplane, like the airport, the boarding gate at the airport, because it's chairs. Wait, let me back up. Let me back up just for a second. So we leave the entrance and we're walking toward this other area outside, and then we're going into another area. As soon as I walked in the door, I looked to the left, and there is pictures of our president and the vice president and the other guy, Nick Cheney. I had no idea that the photo that has been selected to represent him around the world is this. For some reason, I think this photo in itself makes clear exactly what's happening right now. The look, the expression, the everything. It's like, this is what America stands for right now. And just the image of our president, it is so interesting. I mean, the times that we're living in right now, if I'm going to look for refuge and the picture of the man that represents the country that I'm from makes me feel uncomfortable, that is so telling, so telling. But here we are, here we are. My opinions about it, this is an elected official, and here we are. So anyway, we go to the back, and it's like kind of like the boarding gate with these rows of chairs and everything. And there were other people there waiting for services. It's not a lot of personnel there, but one thing that I can say, I just truly have to say thank you to the employees working at the consulate. I'm thinking about it as military. I don't know what it means to be inducted to work for the government, because I know there are particular officials, but then there's also employees. And that's the part that I'm just like, it's fine for us to, and I'm specifically talking about Americans abroad. It's fine for us to be upset with what's not happening in the States. But one of the things that I can say is the folks that are here have taken some type of oath, I believe. And even if it's just like an internal oath, or if it's just like I've been selected to represent folks that, may be in distress abroad, like they have families and they are working and they are ensuring that whatever, services the consulate is supposed to offer, that they're there to do it. I had a brief conversation with one of them, and I was just asking, how are you? And he was saying that his family has gone, and, he's here, and he has to, make sure that the services that are available to us. And it was one of those things, how you see veterans and it's like, thank you for your service. Like, that was what was on my heart. That's what I shared with all of them. Thank you for your service. Like, thank you for sticking around. Thank you for taking care of us. So it was really interesting. I know that right now, as far as people going, it is by invitation only. And it's like a list. And it was efficient enough because it wasn't a lot of people there, but it was enough for us to, kind of deal with what we needed. So the funniest, that's a whole nother thing. Anyway, so it's a numbered system. I got my number. I went up to like the window, and they were basically asking, what are you here for? Do you have your passport? All that stuff. And I said, no, I don't have my passport. And what was interesting was that there's a woman, I call her, I know I've sat with her on many occasions, and I knew that she worked for the consulate, and I knew that she worked in passport services. So the times that we're together, or that we were together, it was just like kind of chill. Hey, how are you? How long you been here? And I've sat with her a few times. Beautiful woman, Black woman from the States. And I saw the back of her. And what was so funny is the man who was actually at the window, he's like, can you show me your documentation? So I slid my documentation under there. And then she came and stood next to him, right? So their backs are toward me. I can see the back of her head. And I'm like, oh my goodness, there she is. And she looked at my paperwork and I could see her, like, I didn't see her face, but I could see her response. And she like, and then she turned around and like, Tiffany. I said, girl, hey. And then I had a little tear here. And she's like, what is going on? I said, I sent my passport for renewal. I don't have my passport. And, they scurried around and, trying to figure everything out. And that was beautiful, like to be called by name, for somebody's Tiffany. Anyway, they're looking around, and I guess there's different stacks and stuff. And the guy comes back with a passport, and I thought it was the new one. And he's like, well, we have this one, which was my old passport. And I don't know about like the system of how this works. Clearly, they keep the old passport. Maybe they send off for the new passport, and then the new passport comes and all of that stuff. Because even in the confirmation email that I received saying that my passport was on the way, it did say that there will be 3 different shipments, one with the new one with the passport card, and then one with the old one. So I imagine because the system is like in stages, that's why my old passport was here. So thank goodness they hadn't poked a hole in it, because usually when you get the new one, they poke a hole in the old one to keep it from working anymore. And that process hadn't happened. So he's like, well, this one doesn't expire until later this year. So, if you want to travel, you can still use this as a form of travel. But the new one is closed. And I was like, okay, well, that's all I need to know. So I ended up leaving the consulate with a passport. How do I feel? It feels confusing at this point, because I know one of the things that I've continued to share with you all is just the fact that I couldn't leave if I wanted to, right? So now that whole narrative changes. Right now, there's talk about, the airport opening and going back to routine services. I know that there are some flights that are leaving, but it seems to me like it's prioritized for government officials and all that stuff. So I imagine they're going to get the important folks out first, and then they'll start opening up to everyone else, because there's still tourists and, folks are stranded, and I guess they're, kind of working in phases as far as when they're going to open airspace again. And then I know also that folks that are in closer proximity, like folks that are in the UK, some of them have been able to leave as well. So now that I am in possession of my passport, the question is, what am I going to do? One of the things that I want to make clear to you all is I am not visiting this country. I live here. I've lived here. I've lived here for, I would say, the majority of my adult life. The other day, what was it, Thursday morning, we decided to do an online well-being session with our students. So you all know I work at the university, and we oversee a cohort of about 15 students who are here doing their teacher preparation to go into the schools. So what that means is, with schools going online, and I'll also mention that one of the ways that the government has responded to all of this stuff happening is that they have brought spring break closer. So we were supposed to go this week, and then spring break would be the week of like the 15th or something. I don't know, but not now. And what they've done is they've moved those 2 weeks closer. Just because of everything, it makes absolute sense to me. Rather than asking people to kind of show up as usual, we have this 2-week break, and our cohort of students as well. So when we're doing this well-being check, it really was, how are you all? How are you kind of navigating what's happening? Program-related stuff. And even many of them have flown from their home countries to enroll in our program, which does not end until July. So even themselves, they're having to decide, and their embassies, some of them are receiving messages from their embassies basically saying, evacuate, go home, come back home. And they're having to make this hard decision as well. What happens with the program? Do I stay here? Do I continue with my studies, or do I return home? And these are the things that, when I was talking to the man at the consulate, I'm like, it's so interesting how, if we're thinking about a war, right? And what you all are seeing at home is one thing, and what we're experiencing here is a completely different thing, which is, yes, there is a war, but for the past at least 4 days, it has been quiet. Oh, and that was the thing as well. Oh my goodness, how did I forget this part? I'm getting ready to leave the house to go to the consulate. What happens when, you all know, if there's like an Amber Alert, there's an emergency message that automatically comes to your phone with this loud siren. and then basically whatever that, needing to interrupt emergency message, it basically explains that. And for us, it's been, missiles have been spotted, take shelter, all of this stuff. And do you know, right as I was getting ready to leave the house to go to the consulate this morning, an emergency message comes through. And I'm like, okay, I can stay home or I can go. And it's not to say that, because the messages have been coming through. Like the other night, the message had come through, and then another message said, okay, we're safe again, continue as normal. So when the message came through this morning, as soon as I'm about to go to the consulate, I'm like, all right, I'm going to call this Kareem. If the Kareem shows up, I'm going to go. And I'm like, how is it that, I'm getting ready to possibly have some refuge. And then in the midst of the refuge, I'm like, but this emergency is telling me to stay home. So if I get there, I get there. If I don't, I don't. And I don't know if I got the message yet saying that I can return to normal. Maybe I did when I was there. I'm not sure. But yeah, so it's interesting because our students have been receiving this information as well. So with the weighing, right? The weighing of, do I go home, or do I ask questions about, is this program more important than going home? It's one of those things where, we can only humanize it, because even my provost is telling us as staff, if you decide to leave, it's at your own discretion. And one of the dilemmas that we have to face with the program is, if we do decide to, if the UAE decides to continue with online learning for the rest of the year, what does it look like? The students would be, our students would be teaching online anyway. So what's the difference of teaching online here in the UAE and teaching online in their home countries where they're safe with their families? And it's just a few, because many of the cohort members actually live here, and they've lived here for years, and their families are here. So yeah, it was interesting that, we're checking in with them as far as their well-being, and then they're asking questions about the program. And I'm like, let's put the program to the side because whatever it is that we can do to remain in compliance and make sure that, we'll continue the program, that's one thing. But, the most important thing is, how are you, and how are you taking care of yourself? So with that, the dilemma as far as me deciding whether or not to come home, and even if I did, it would be temporary. I live here, I'm employed here. And I truly, truly pray that what we're experiencing right now is temporary. But I can't leave before them. I will not leave before them. Like if I don't know that they are safe, I'm not going to. It's almost like that. If you're on the plane, they do say, put your mask on first, right? And then put the mask on, the child or whoever is next to you. That's where I am. So now that I have a passport, I have my mask on, and now I just have to, now I can worry about, other folks. And it's not like that hasn't been the case anyway, but I do feel responsible for these students. And to just abruptly leave and be like, you'll be fine, all right, bye. I don't have that in my heart. So as it stands on March 7th, there is a normality around us. I mean, I know what you all are seeing on TV, and some of that stuff, be careful about consuming it, because we are fine. Now, one moment, we can't predict from one moment to the next. And, the anxiety of the sound, or the anxiety of the emergency siren coming through the phone, the anxiety is, okay, is the boom coming? Or is this just a warning? Was the boom somewhere else? Is everybody fine? So all of that anxiousness is still there. But do I feel compelled to leave right now at this moment? No. And I do feel like I have to stick around. My prayer, I was just thinking about this the other day. This morning, actually. What does normality look like after this? One, we are not going back to normal. I have no doubt about that. And two, if it means that every day we're on surveillance, even if it's for the rest of the year, like, surveillance is fine, but are we, I guess that's the thing. It's unpredictable. It's very much unpredictable. And yeah, like I said before, it really is a waiting game, because in my mind, I have imagined what does it look like to leave here, go home, something pops off at home, and then I'm coming right back here. And that would be the case anyway, even if nothing popped off. Like I said, I live here. I'm a resident here, and it's just one of those things where, like I've said before, this is my home. And I know that doesn't provide any type of, comfort for you all. It's so, this is so crazy, but I'm gonna mention my sister. She's like, okay, don't be acting like Katrina, when you've been warned to leave and you choose not to leave. And I'm like, okay, there's some truth in that, but what to do, what to do. And I think the power of God is just knowing that I am covered, knowing that, it's one of those things where it's not just Americans here. It's Americans, it's Brits, it's South Africans, it's Australians. It's people from all over the world that are here. So we're very much all in the same space. Even though everything has happened, there is something that carries about the UAE being a safe country, because their response to all of this has been amazing, absolutely amazing. And yeah, here we are today, and this is how I'm feeling. Maybe tomorrow it'll be different, maybe the next day it'll be different, but this is where I am right now. So I am in possession of my passport. I've been made aware that the new one is coming soon. And when the airspace and commercial flights start moving as normal, when the decision comes that I'm coming home, I do have access to make that decision. So thank you, Lord. And thank you for the prayers, you all. I do want to tell you all about the past couple of days, because I don't want you to imagine that I'm just sitting around depressed, woe is me. That's not the case at all. One of the reasons that I was in a bad space yesterday, it's so funny how time is just going so fast. Goodness, I don't know how it's Saturday. But yesterday, I literally was on the couch. Well, I was on the couch for the majority of the day, but I did get up in the morning because I had work to do. And I told you all that I'm an external examiner for some teacher preparation programs in the UK. And what I didn't realize about this particular university is that their students are actually international. So one of the observations that I did was with a teacher candidate in Ireland. One was in the UK. And then the other one that I talked to yesterday was in Romania. So I talked to her just for a second and basically, talked about the protocol of the observation. And then she ended up setting up the computer in her room. And I watched her teach these children. And it was so amazing. Oh my goodness, so amazing. And the fact that I'm here, still being able to connect with folks outside of here. And it is this, even when I told her, yeah, I'm in Dubai, and she's just like, oh, Miskeen. Oh, Miskeen. And not that'll be in Romanian, of course. But I'm like, no, it's actually fine. And then having things to keep my mind busy, that really helps. So after I gave what I could to that call, it was a beautiful observation. And then as soon as I closed the laptop, I was like, I am done. I am done. And my done was kind of like a collective of the whole week, because the night before I messed around. It was so fun. It was so amazing. I'll say that. The day before was busy, busy, busy. The day before is actually when we had checked in with the students, and then I had an observation, and then we had the meetings with some folks in the UK. And then it's every day, even with all of this going on, every day has still been back to back to back, still showing up. And by the night, I ended up connecting with one of my girls, and we're just, on the phone, right? I'm at my home, she's at her home, and we're on the phone, and we're just talking on Bottom, just talking. Hey sis, how you doing? And we're just laughing and, just talking about life. And you all know my birthday is coming up. So we were like, well, let's just do a house party for the birthday. And she's like, okay, so let's plan, this and this. And I think before we got on the call, one of those emergencies had come up. They had came through the phone, and it was like, no, you stay home, I'll stay home. And then we're on the phone, and she's like, Tiffany, I'm on my way. Okay. And then one of my neighbors, I told you all about my Iraqi neighbor. I said, a friend of mine is coming over. Do you want to come over? He's like, I'm on my way. Okay. And then she called her friend and was like, hey, I'm at Tiffany's house. Do you want to come by? He's like, I'm on my way. Okay, perfect. So there's literally 4 of us here. I got the emergency message, and right after I got the emergency message, I got a follow-up saying, okay, the emergency message is canceled, you can resume. And they didn't get it. So I don't know what that was about, but basically they came over here. Yours truly. I didn't cook some chicken, I didn't cook some fish, I didn't cook this beautiful salad, right? And because dishes, Miss Esther, my cleaner, she's actually on the way, which is another reason that I was like, let me just get this message because I'm about to get my house cleaned. But I put like some bags and like some paper on the table, and I just made us bread. And there was fish, there was chicken, there was rice, there was a salad, like a tomato, onion, vinegar, like a salad. And we used our fingers, and we just sat there and ate and ate. And we're just, of course there's adult beverages. Not everyone's drinking, but of course there's adult beverages, laughs, just comfort, absolute comfort. We ate, and then we moved the food, and then I got the cards out, and we were literally 4 adults, right? Adults. Sitting up here playing I Declare War. Now, out of every game, why that? And what I was trying, because one friend is from Kenya, the other friend, well, her friend is from Nigeria, this guy's from Iraq, and I'm from America, and here I am. Let's play I Declare War. Oh my goodness. Do not judge me. But when I tell you, we had so much fun, so much fun. And then we would play normal because I'm having to explain the game. And then I was like, yeah, I want to play Deuces Wild. So then we're playing, they kicking butt, I'm losing. Clearly, I'm losing. But it was so amazing. Do you all know these folks didn't leave my house until 6:30 in the morning? Like, it was blue outside when I had to put them out because they would not leave. And I'm like, y'all, I got to work tomorrow. Y'all good. And they did too. Everybody had to work. But I think that's the beautiful thing. It's also this, let's be present in what we have. I'm still hesitant to go out. I'm still hesitant to, go to the hotels and go hang out. But like in the house, that was exactly what I needed. Oh my goodness, that was what I needed. I had a good time, a beautiful time. And when I woke up the next morning, I felt like crap. And I still had stuff to do, but I felt like absolute crap. I was able to do what I needed to do, feeling like absolute crap. Once I finished that observation, I closed that laptop and I was done. I was sleeping. And I think the thing is, what I realized was that the sleeping bit wasn't just about that night that we were together. I think the sleeping bit was a combination of everything that had happened that week. I do think that it's one thing to, continue to try to be normal. Okay, here's the meetings, here's this, keep going. But at the same time, the body can only take so much before, it's just going to shut down and need to restore. And I think sleeping all day like that was like plugging in the charger, getting some more energy, getting some juice, and then I can kind of function. So that was yesterday. I woke up this morning feeling much better and still like a better mindset and everything as well. And then, everything that's happening with the passport, I just feel more stable, I guess, if that's a word. I feel stable. But like I said, I'm going to go to the thrift store, do some mind therapy, and then I'll go to the grocery store, come back home, and, just keep going. I do think that there is something about the blessing. When I went with a walk. I went on a walk with my colleague, my friend, who's my neighbor, and we were talking, and because she's still teaching as well. She's teaching in the UK, and she was like, something about, every time we wake up, every day we wake up, we have to decide what 100% looks like, and like for ourselves, and decide how much we can show up. And I said, but like where we are now, I think every day that we wake up is 100%. Like our eyes opening is 100%. us being able to get out of the bed, that's 100%. And I don't want to treat myself, treat my colleagues, treat anybody like this is normal, because it's not. And I think that's the thing, just like waking up every day, allowing us to do or not do, that's just where we are. Is there an end point? I have no idea, but I can definitely say that we are blessed. We're blessed in a way. And I mean, of course, it won't make sense to anyone. This is for myself. In a way, we are safe. And I think that's it for now. I can only judge today. I can only judge this moment, So, yeah. So after that, today I'm going to take it easy. I'm going to allow myself to do what I can. I got to get my hair done tomorrow. So my dear Jennifer, she's going to come and do my hair tomorrow. And then, I have been thinking about my birthday, and it may just be one of those days where it's just dinner, that's enough. But I think that's enough. That's enough. So yeah, so this one went, this message, this journal went a little longer than what I anticipated. But like I said, everything is good. Everything is well. I'll continue to reach out, keep you all posted. Thank you so much for all the beautiful messages, all the video messages. I'm talking to y'all way more than what I would if it was a typical day. So, in a way that it's a blessing to have your eyes on me, to have your prayers on me. I am well. I'm well. I'm as best as I can be. I think that's fair. I love you all. I'll keep you posted. I'll keep doing videos like this just to make sure that you all are informed. And I'll talk to you soon. All right, you all. Bye.